He was born with a monster sealed inside him, hated by a village he was destined to protect, and laughed at for dreaming of becoming Hokage. But what if I told you that this boy would go on to change the entire shinobi world? This is the full story of Naruto Uzumaki. From the tragic night of his birth to becoming the greatest hero his world has ever known. A journey through loss, pain, friendship, betrayal, war, and ultimately, legacy. You've heard the name, you've seen the headband, but do you really know the story? This isn't just the tale of a ninja. This is the story of the boy who never gave up. This is the complete story of Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto Uzumaki was born on a night of chaos. His parents, Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, and Kushina Uzumaki, were two of the strongest shinobi in the Hidden Leaf village. But their moment of joy was shattered when a masked man attacked the village, unleashing the nine-tailed fox Kurama. To save Konoha, Minato and Kushina sacrificed their lives. They sealed half of Kurama's chakra within themselves and the other half inside their newborn son Naruto. On that same night, Naruto became an orphan and a Jinchuriki, burdened with unimaginable power and pain, long before he could speak his first word. Naruto grew up alone. The villagers feared him, hated him, and avoided him, not because of anything he had done, but because of the monster sealed within him. No one explained the truth. No one offered him kindness. Surrounded by people, yet completely isolated, Naruto learned to hide his pain behind loud behavior and constant mischief. He pulled pranks, caused chaos, and shouted for attention not out of malice, but from a deep desire to be seen, to be acknowledged. His dream was to become Hokage, not for power or fame, but so that the village would finally recognize him. And yet, in the midst of his loneliness, there were glimmers of light. Iruka Umino, his academy teacher, was the first to see Naruto not as a threat, but as a boy in need of compassion. He gave Naruto something no one else had: respect. And Tucci, the owner of the Ichiraku ramen shop, offered warmth and acceptance, one bowl of ramen at a time. Despite the hatred, Naruto never gave up. He kept moving forward, driven by a simple but powerful dream: to be acknowledged, to prove that he was more than the fox sealed inside him, that he had something worth fighting for. This is how the story of Naruto Uzumaki began, with loss, loneliness, and an unshakable spirit. After barely passing the Ninja Academy thanks to Iruka's belief in him, Naruto officially became a genin. And with that came the next step in his journey, being assigned to a team. Enter Team 7. Naruto's squad was complicated, to say the least. His teammates? Sakura Haruno, smart, stubborn, and completely obsessed with their third member, Sasuke Uchiha. And Sasuke? Cold, quiet, and brooding, the exact opposite of Naruto. Their sensei? Kakashi Hatake, mysterious, one-eyed, book-reading elite ninja who showed up late to literally everything. Their first real mission wasn't about paperwork or helping old ladies. It was a survival test. Kakashi gave them a simple task: take 2 bells from him. The catch? There were 3 of them and only 2 bells. One person was guaranteed to lose. But this wasn't really about the bells. It was a test of teamwork. At first, Naruto charged in recklessly. Sasuke tried to handle everything alone. Sakura froze. They failed hard. But when Naruto offered his lunch to a tied-up Sasuke, breaking the rules to help a teammate, Kakashi saw what truly mattered: the bond between comrades. That day, Team 7 passed not by strength, but by loyalty. From that point on, Team 7 took on real missions. They fought bandits, protected clients, and learned what it truly meant to be shinobi. But the moment everything changed was during the Land of Waves mission. What was supposed to be a simple escort turned into a battle for survival. They faced Zabuza Momochi, a deadly rogue ninja, and his silent partner Haku, a boy with ice mirrors and a tragic past. This mission tested everything Naruto had. He watched comrades fall. He saw real bloodshed, and for the first time, he felt the weight of life and death. But he also found something deeper: the will to fight not just for himself, but for others. Naruto's words reached even Haku's heart. His passion shook Zabuza to tears, and by the end of it all, the boy who once screamed for attention had finally made a difference. But while Naruto was growing, so was the darkness inside Sasuke. The Uchiha carried a heavy burden, the loss of his entire clan, slaughtered by his own brother, Itachi. While Naruto sought love and acceptance, Sasuke sought revenge. And as both boys grew stronger, so did the rivalry between them. Team 7's bond was real, but it was also fragile. Under Kakashi's watchful eye, they trained, fought, and slowly became something more than just teammates. They became a family. But even the strongest bonds can break under pressure. And in the world of shinobi, pressure was always just around the corner. With the Chunin exams on the horizon, danger was about to strike from every shadow. After the Land of Waves, Team 7 returned home stronger and more determined than ever. But peace never lasts long in the ninja world. Soon, the Hidden Leaf announced the start of the Chunin exams, a prestigious and dangerous test where genin teams from across the nations would compete to earn promotion and prove their worth. Naruto, of course, was hyped. The chance to show everyone how far he'd come? Bring it on. Sasuke stayed quiet but focused. And Sakura? She was ready to prove she was more than just the brains of the team. The exams had 3 parts, each one more intense than the last. Phase 1, the written test. A room full of genin, an impossible written test, and one rule: don't get caught cheating. Naruto panicked. Writing? Strategy? Not exactly his strong suit. But he didn't give up. He stayed in his seat, sweating bullets, refusing to quit. And that was the real test, enduring pressure without surrendering. Naruto passed not with answers, but with sheer will. Classic Naruto. Phase 2, the Forest of Death. Next came the infamous Forest of Death, a survival game with one rule: trust no one. Team 7 had to fight other squads, battle the elements, and survive attacks from giant snakes, literal ones and metaphorical ones. Because deep in the forest, a new enemy made his move. His name, Orochimaru, a legendary Sannin, obsessed with power, immortality, and stealing Sasuke's body. He attacked with overwhelming force. Naruto was knocked out. Sakura had to defend the team. And Sasuke? He was marked cursed by Orochimaru, his body branded with the cursed seal of heaven. From that moment, Sasuke's fate began to shift. Phase 3, the preliminaries. After barely surviving the forest, the teams faced one-on-one battles. Naruto versus Kiba, Sasuke versus a sound ninja. And then came a fight that changed everything. Rock Lee versus Gaara, a fierce taijutsu master against a cold-blooded killer. Lee gave it everything and was nearly destroyed. Gaara, he barely blinked. Naruto watched in shock. A monster like Gaara was just like him, another child with a beast inside. But while Naruto fought for acknowledgement, Gaara fought to kill to prove his existence by destroying others. 2 sides of the same coin, and their paths were about to collide. The Chunin exams weren't just about promotion. They revealed hidden truths, tested loyalties, and introduced enemies far more dangerous than any textbook could prepare for. Team 7 survived, but they were forever changed. And far above the arena, in the shadows of the Leaf Village, Orochimaru waited, ready to strike. The Chunin exams were far from over, and so war was just a breath away. As the final rounds began, the Hidden Leaf became a gathering place for powerful shinobi and foreign leaders. But among the visitors, Orochimaru had slipped in wearing a mask, literally. Disguised as the Kazekage of the Sand Village, he had already set his plan in motion. The moment Naruto stepped into the arena for his match against Neji Hyuga, the stage was already set for chaos. Neji, a prodigy of the Hyuga clan, believed in fate. He mocked Naruto's dreams, calling him a loser who would never change his destiny. But Naruto wasn't just fighting Neji, he was fighting the entire idea that anyone was born to suffer. With heart, grit, and a surprise uppercut fueled by raw chakra and belief, Naruto defeated Neji. And for the first time, people began to see him not as a joke, but as a real shinobi. But just as the cheers began, everything exploded. Hidden Sound and Hidden Sand ninjas launched a full-scale attack. The sky darkened with summoned creatures. Panic spread. Konoha was under siege. Orochimaru struck from the shadows, dragging the 3rd Hokage into a deadly one-on-one duel on the rooftops. It was master versus student, old age versus ambition. As Orochimaru summoned the dead bodies of the first and second Hokage to fight beside him, Hiruzen Sarutobi stood his ground even knowing it would cost him everything. With the forbidden sealing technique, the third Hokage gave his life to stop his former student. He couldn't fully defeat Orochimaru, but he took away something just as vital, his ability to perform jutsu. Hiruzen died, smiling, believing in the next generation, and in Naruto's dream. Meanwhile, Naruto faced Gaara in the battlefield outside the arena. It wasn't just a clash of fists, it was a battle of souls. Gaara, consumed by hatred and loneliness, unleashed Shukaku, the one-tailed beast, but Naruto wouldn't back down. He fought with everything he had, not just to protect the village, but to save someone who had suffered the same way he had. With the help of Gamabunta, the Toad Chief, and the power of pure determination, Naruto defeated Gaara. And in doing so, he planted a seed, the first step toward Gaara's redemption. The invasion left the Hidden Leaf scarred. Buildings were destroyed, lives were lost. But out of the rubble, something powerful emerged: belief in the next generation. And at the center of it all stood Naruto, no longer just a loud kid with dreams, but a young ninja who had truly protected his home. A new chapter was about to begin. After the death of the third Hokage, the Hidden Leaf was shaken. The village needed leadership, stability, hope, and so began the search for a new Hokage. Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin and Naruto's eccentric new mentor, refused the position himself. Instead, he had someone else in mind, his former teammate, Tsunade. But finding her wasn't going to be easy. Jiraiya took Naruto with him on the journey, partly for protection, but also to train him. And train him he did. Naruto learned how to control his chakra better, began working on a powerful new jutsu, and of course spent way too much time trying to peek at women in hot springs, thanks to Jiraiya's questionable habits. But their journey wasn't just about growth, it was also about confrontation. They eventually found Tsunade drowning her sorrow in sake and gambling. She was a medical genius and one of the strongest kunoichi alive, but also deeply broken, haunted by the loss of her brother and the man she loved, both taken by war. Tsunade initially mocked Naruto's dream of becoming Hokage. She saw it as childish, a fantasy, but Naruto, in true Naruto fashion, didn't back down. He challenged her, literally, and when he showed her his determination and began to master the impossible Rasengan, something in her changed. He reminded her of her little brother, of the will of fire, of hope. But before she could return to the village, Orochimaru appeared once more, offering her a terrible deal: heal his arms, and he would bring her loved ones back from the dead. For a moment, she hesitated, but in the end, she chose the village. She chose to fight. In one of the most legendary battles in the series, the three Sannin clashed. Jiraiya, Orochimaru, Tsunade, massive summons, earth-shaking jutsu, and right in the middle of it all, Naruto. When Kabuto tried to kill Tsunade, Naruto, injured, outmatched, and barely standing, risked everything to protect her. And that's when he landed the Rasengan for the first time. A perfect hit. In that moment, Tsunade saw it clearly. Naruto wasn't just some loud brat. He was a future Hokage in the making. With Orochimaru defeated for now, Tsunade returned to the Hidden Leaf and accepted the title of 5th Hokage. The village began to heal, Naruto continued to grow, and a new era seemed within reach. But beneath the surface, something darker was brewing. Because Sasuke Uchiha's obsession with power was reaching a breaking point, and the shadow of revenge was calling his name, things in the Hidden Leaf weren't the same after the Chunin exams. Not for Naruto, not for the village, and definitely not for Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke had always been calm, cool, and distant, the silent prodigy who walked alone, but lately, something inside him was beginning to crack. He watched as Naruto grew stronger. He saw him master the Rasengan, get stronger under Jiraiya's tutelage, and earn the respect of people who used to mock him. And it burned. Not just jealousy. No, this was something deeper. Sasuke was haunted by the image of his brother Itachi, by the massacre of his clan, by the cruel reminder that he was still too weak to take revenge. Then came the final blow. Itachi himself returned to the village. Not to fight Sasuke. No, that would have been too merciful. He came for Naruto, the vessel of the Nine Tails. Sasuke tried to confront him, eyes filled with rage and desperation, but Itachi broke him physically and mentally in seconds. It was humiliation, and a cruel reminder. If Sasuke wanted power, he wouldn't find it here. And just like that, Orochimaru's whisper found him. The deal was simple: leave the village, and Orochimaru would grant him the power he craved. No strings attached, just betrayal, pain, and a cursed seal waiting to be unchained. So one night, Sasuke left. He didn't leave a note. He didn't say goodbye. He just vanished into the darkness, carrying only his hatred. But Naruto wasn't going to let him go. He made a promise to Sakura, one that was far heavier than it sounded. He swore to bring Sasuke back, no matter what. Because to Naruto, Sasuke wasn't just a teammate, he was a friend, a brother. The only person who truly understood the same kind of loneliness he carried. Tsunade assigned a retrieval squad, led by the newly promoted Shikamaru. Naruto joined, along with Neji, Kiba, Choji, and a backpack full of instant ramen. They chased after Sasuke, knowing full well they were walking into a trap. One by one, the team members faced off against Orochimaru's elite guards, the Sound Four. The battles were brutal, each a test of will and sacrifice. Choji popped a dangerous pill that almost killed him. Neji fought while bleeding out, refusing to fall. Shikamaru used every brain cell he had to outwit a terrifying opponent. Kiba and Akamaru fought tooth and claw just to survive. And Naruto, he kept going, he had to. He finally caught up to Sasuke at the edge of the world, a place called the Valley of the End. Two giant statues stood facing each other, frozen in time. Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha. Two legends, two former friends who had once stood side by side until they didn't. Now, history repeated itself. Sasuke stood at the edge, eyes colder than ever. Naruto pleaded with him. He shouted, cursed, begged, but nothing worked. Sasuke didn't want to come back. He wanted to sever everything. The fight that followed was unlike anything they'd ever experienced. Rasengan clashed with Chidori. Chakra erupted like thunder. Fists, fury, and raw emotion collided under a stormy sky. Naruto fought for their bond. Sasuke fought to destroy it. And in the end, Naruto lost. Sasuke stood over his fallen friend, lightning in hand. But he didn't strike. He chose not to kill Naruto, not because of mercy, but because he wanted to walk a different path than his brother. And with that, he disappeared. When Kakashi arrived, it was too late. Naruto was unconscious, bleeding, barely breathing, but the pain in his chest had nothing to do with injuries. Back in Konoha, Sakura waited with trembling hands. Naruto returned, broken but alive. He looked her in the eyes and whispered, "I'll bring him back, I promise." And from that moment on, Naruto's journey was no longer just about becoming Hokage. It was about saving the one person who had walked away when no one else had stayed. The promise was everything. Naruto wasn't just chasing Sasuke anymore, he was chasing his own failure, trying to turn regret into strength. But even he knew, if he wanted to bring Sasuke back, he couldn't stay the same knucklehead ninja forever. So he left. Jiraiya didn't sugarcoat it. "We're not sightseeing, this won't be a vacation. You'll suffer, you'll bleed, but if you stick with me, you'll become someone worthy of that promise." Naruto was all in. Even if it meant less ramen and more pain, the journey was long. They crossed desolate mountains, windswept plains, and villages so remote even Google Maps would have given up. Naruto trained relentlessly, mastering chakra control, refining the Rasengan, and learning how to tap into the terrifying power of the Nine Tails without losing himself completely. It wasn't easy. Whenever Naruto reached a breakthrough, Kurama's chakra would lash out, wild and uncontrollable. One second he was pushing himself to the limit, the next, he was waking up in a crater wondering why the birds had stopped chirping. Still, he kept going. That was Naruto's way. Of course, Jiraiya wasn't exactly a traditional mentor. Half the time, he was sneaking off to spy on women in hot springs, notebook in hand, scribbling lines for his next research-based novel. Naruto, naturally, called him the pervy sage, loudly and often, especially when he got left with the hotel bill. But beneath the pervy grin and lazy attitude, Jiraiya saw something in Naruto, something rare, a fire that refused to die, a heart too stubborn to give up, and perhaps a destiny greater than anyone could imagine. While Naruto was grinding through training, the world kept turning and dark clouds began to gather. Akatsuki was on the move. These weren't just common criminals. Each member was an S-rank shinobi, the kind of ninja that made even the bravest jonin lose sleep. And their goal? The tailed beasts. Every last one of them. And guess who had one sleeping inside him? Yeah, Naruto was basically walking bait. Meanwhile, back in Konoha, life went on. Sakura trained under Tsunade, unlocking strength that would make even rock walls tremble. She wasn't going to be the girl who cried and waited anymore. She wanted to fight, to protect, to stand shoulder to shoulder with Naruto next time, not behind him. And Sasuke? Well, let's just say he wasn't collecting stamps during his time with Orochimaru. He dove headfirst into forbidden jutsu, curse seals, and deadly duels. His Sharingan evolved. His techniques became lethal. He no longer looked like the boy who once smiled awkwardly at Team 7. He was colder, sharper, more dangerous, and he was getting closer to his goal, Itachi. After 2.5 years, Naruto finally returned to the village. Taller, stronger, louder, still very much Naruto but with a new fire in his eyes. Kakashi met him with a smirk, Sakura with a punch, followed by a smile, and Konohamaru immediately challenged him to a duel, like any good little brother figure would. But the reunion didn't last long, because Akatsuki was already watching, waiting, and soon the hunt would begin. Naruto's return to Konoha was supposed to mark a new chapter. Stronger allies, better skills, a new team dynamic. But peace? That was never really an option. Because while Naruto had been training, something else had been growing in the dark. Akatsuki, the rogue ninja organization wrapped in black cloaks and blood-red clouds, was finally moving. They didn't just want the tailed beasts, they were capturing them, one by one, village by village. Host after host Jinchuriki like Naruto were vanishing, and no one could stop it. The world had been treating Naruto like a time bomb. Now it realized he was actually the target of a full-scale hunt. Tsunade, now fully settled as Hokage, wasted no time. She reassembled the old Team 7 kind of. Sasuke was still missing, so Naruto and Sakura were joined by two new additions. Sai, a pale, emotionless artist from the mysterious Anbu Root division, and Yamato, a calm leader with a rare ability to suppress the nine-tailed chakra. Naruto didn't trust Sai, not even a little. The guy smiled like a serial killer and insulted people by accident, or maybe on purpose. It was hard to tell. But even weird teammates couldn't distract from what came next. The missions were no longer about protecting clients or catching cats. They were hunting Akatsuki. Their first target? Gaara. The boy who once fought Naruto as a bloodthirsty killer was now the Kazekage of the Hidden Sand, a protector, a leader. Akatsuki took him anyway. Naruto barely hesitated. The second he heard Gaara was in danger, he was already running. The memory of that fight years ago of two broken kids finally understanding each other burned too deeply. When they reached the sand village, it was too late. Gaara had already been captured. The battle that followed was brutal. Team Kakashi fought Sasori, a master of puppets and poison, whose body was more weapon than man. Sakura and Chiyo, an elder from the sand, faced him head-on in one of the most intricate and deadly battles the series had ever seen. And for the first time, Sakura truly shined. Her punches shattered boulders. Her strategies saved lives. She wasn't the girl who needed protecting anymore. She was a warrior, and Naruto noticed. Still, despite everything, they couldn't save Gaara's life. He died when the tailed beast was ripped from his body. Naruto stood in silence. Not the kind where he was planning a comeback or making some big speech. This was different. This was heartbreak. But in a rare act of hope, Chiyo, the same woman who once hated Jinchuriki, gave her life to bring Gaara back. Sacrifice met redemption, and Naruto understood more than ever what it meant to carry the weight of power. The battles kept coming. One after another, Akatsuki's members revealed themselves, each more terrifying than the last. Hidan and Kakuzu, a pair of immortals who laughed at death. Deidara, the explosive artist with a superiority complex and a bird made of clay. And, watching everything from the shadows, a man with swirling eyes and twisted ambitions, Tobi. For every victory Naruto's team earned, another village suffered. For every life saved, another was taken. This wasn't just a war of strength. It was a war of ideology, of survival, of identity. And Naruto, the boy once ignored by his village, now stood as one of the few with the power and heart to fight back. But as the storm built in the distance, so did the tension between two names forever bound by fate, Naruto and Sasuke, because while one was fighting to save the world, the other was preparing to destroy it. While Naruto chased shadows across nations, battling Akatsuki and holding onto promises, Sasuke had been walking deeper and deeper into darkness. Orochimaru had given him power, that much was true. Forbidden techniques, brutal training, and a body pushed beyond its limits. But Sasuke was no fool. He never intended to serve forever. He wasn't Orochimaru's pawn. He was simply waiting for the right moment to strike. And when that moment came, he didn't hesitate. Orochimaru, once one of the most feared shinobi alive, found himself outplayed, outsped, and outclassed by his own student. The snake that had hunted so many was swallowed whole by the hawk. Sasuke didn't stop there. He formed a new team, Team Hibi. Each member had a purpose. Suigetsu, a swordsman with a love for decapitation and hydration. Kirin, a hot-headed sensor ninja with a Sasuke obsession that was borderline illegal. And Jugo, the source of Orochimaru's cursed seal, a gentle soul with a deadly split personality. They weren't friends. They weren't even allies. They were tools, weapons, because Sasuke had a mission: find Itachi and kill him. While Sasuke moved in silence, Naruto's journey brought him closer to danger than ever before. Every fight, every captured Jinchuriki, every brush with death, it all pushed him forward. He was no longer just a Nine-Tails host. He was becoming a symbol, a force. And deep down, he knew time was running out. Sasuke wasn't going to wait for anyone. Eventually, the two brothers found each other. The long-awaited battle between Sasuke and Itachi didn't happen in some war-torn battlefield or sacred shrine. It happened in a dark, silent room, just the two of them, face to face, years of pain hanging in the air. No words could capture what that fight meant. Sasuke unleashed everything Orochimaru had taught him: Genjutsu, Ninjutsu, Taijutsu, even the Cursed Seal in its final form. And Itachi, calm, cold, calculated. To the outside world, it looked like a brutal clash of titans, but for Sasuke, it was personal. Every strike carried the weight of a childhood stolen, a clan erased, a name drowned in blood. And just when Sasuke thought he had done it, when Itachi stood before him, coughing, bleeding, broken, Itachi didn't scream or beg or fight back. He walked up to his brother, raised a trembling hand, and tapped his forehead, just like he did when they were kids. Then he collapsed, dead. Sasuke had won, but victory tasted like ash, because the truth was far worse than any lie. Itachi hadn't murdered the Uchiha clan out of hatred. He'd done it to protect the hidden leaf ordered by the village elders, caught between loyalty and blood. He spared Sasuke not because he couldn't finish the job, but because he loved him more than anything in the world. Every step, every word, every moment of cruelty had been a twisted form of protection. Sasuke hadn't avenged his family. He'd killed the only one who ever truly loved him. Everything changed after that. Sasuke didn't return to the village. He didn't seek redemption. He turned his hatred toward Konoha. If the village had ordered the massacre of his clan, then the village would pay. He cast off Team Hebi, renamed his group Taka, and aligned himself with the very group Naruto was fighting to stop, Akatsuki. And somewhere, far away, Naruto felt it, that invisible thread between them pulling tighter, darker. The boy he wanted to save was disappearing, and the world had no idea what was coming next. Peace had always been fragile in the shinobi world, like glass stretched too thin, but this time, it shattered completely. While Naruto continued to train hidden from the chaos, an unstoppable storm was already moving toward the hidden leaf. Pain had arrived, leader of Akatsuki, a man, or rather, men with the power of gods, and the heart of a broken child. His goal was simple: make the world feel pain, so it would finally understand peace. And Konoha, it was first on his list. Pain didn't come alone. He brought 6 bodies, all connected to one mind, one vision, one godlike presence. The 6 paths of pain. They tore through the village like a divine reckoning. Shinobi fell by the dozens. Buildings collapsed. Chaos consumed every street. Even Kakashi, the copy ninja, the calm in every storm, gave his life trying to protect others. Tsunade used every last drop of her chakra healing the wounded. And then, Pain did the unthinkable. With a single word, almighty push, he obliterated the Hidden Leaf Village. Not just buildings, not just walls, everything. Gone. And where was Naruto? Far away, in training, learning to control the Nine Tails chakra, pushing himself to new limits under the watchful eyes of the toads at Mount Myoboku. He was mastering Sage Mode, a technique that balanced natural energy and chakra, granting speed, power, and perception far beyond any normal shinobi. But it wasn't easy. Nature could crush you if you weren't careful. One wrong breath, and you turn into a frog statue forever. Naruto, of course, almost blew himself up more than once. But when the message came, a silent cry from a destroyed village, he didn't hesitate. He raced back home. And what he returned to wasn't home. Just rubble, ash, silence. But there was no time for grief. Pain was still there, waiting, preaching, demanding Naruto surrender. Instead, Naruto appeared in the center of the ruins, not as a boy, but as a force. Cloaked in a red toad cape, eyes glowing gold with sage energy, he wasn't the same kid who once painted the Hokage faces for fun. He was the Leaf's last hope. The battle was unreal. Naruto danced through the 6 paths of pain with precision and fury. He moved like wind, struck like thunder, and fought with the weight of everyone he'd ever lost on his shoulders. But Pain was relentless. One by one, Naruto's allies fell. He was captured, nearly broken. And then, Hinata stepped in. She stood before Naruto, trembling but unshaken. She confessed everything, her love, her pain, her fear. And then Pain struck her down. That was it. Naruto snapped. Kurama's chakra surged. The Nine Tails cage cracked. The monster inside him roared to be free. It was almost over. But in that final moment, something stopped him. A memory not of battle, but of his father. Minato appeared from within the seal. Time froze. The 4th Hokage, the one who had sealed the beast, the one who had died to give Naruto a chance. He smiled. He explained everything: who Naruto was, who his mother had been, and why he believed in his son. And then he was gone. But Naruto wasn't lost anymore. He tamed the fury, took back control, and with nothing but his strength, his mind, and his heart, he tracked down the real Pain Nagato, a broken man hiding behind the mask of a god. Naruto didn't kill him. He listened. He understood. He told Nagato about Jiraiya, about the cycle of hatred, about the future he wanted to build. And somehow, it worked. Nagato believed in him. With his last breath, he used a forbidden technique to bring back everyone he had killed in the village, including Kakashi. One life for hundreds? When Naruto returned, the villagers looked at him with different eyes. No longer the demon child, no longer the outcast. They saw him for what he truly was, a hero. The kind who saves not just with strength, but with compassion. The kind who refuses to let go of hope no matter how much pain the world throws his way. For a brief moment, there was peace. Naruto had saved the village. Pain was gone. The villagers finally saw him as more than just the Nine Tails host. Children ran to him with smiles instead of fear. Old women offered him free dumplings, which, let's be honest, Naruto appreciated more than any medal. But peace, as always, is temporary. Because while Naruto stood in the light, Sasuke had fully embraced the shadows. After learning the truth about Itachi, Sasuke's anger had taken a new shape. No longer driven only by revenge against a brother, now it burned for something greater, the Hidden Leaf itself. The system that created the tragedy, the elders, the Hokage, everything. And in his quest for vengeance, Sasuke made a decision that shattered whatever ties remained. He joined forces with Tobi, the man behind the mask, who claimed to be Madara Uchiha. Together, they made their next move. The 5 great nations, Leaf, Sand, Stone, Mist, and Cloud, called an emergency summit. The 5 Kage would meet to decide how to handle the growing threat of Akatsuki. It was a historic moment, the first time all the village leaders had gathered in one place. Naruto, desperate to stop Sasuke's descent, begged the Raikage, the leader of the Cloud, to show mercy. Sasuke had attacked their village, targeted the 8 Tails Jinchuriki, and declared war in everything but name. Naruto fell to his knees, fists clenched, pleading. The Raikage refused. And that's when Naruto realized words alone wouldn't be enough anymore. While the summit unfolded, Sasuke didn't wait for decisions to be made. He attacked the 5 Kage summit head-on. Alone, it was madness, suicidal even, but it showed just how far he'd gone. Eyes cold, Sharingan blazing, Sasuke tore through elite guards and faced down Kage-level threats without flinching. He wasn't a genin anymore, he wasn't even a rogue ninja. He was a weapon. The summit descended into chaos. And in the middle of it all, Toby revealed his true plan. The Akatsuki didn't just want the Tail Beasts, they wanted all of them to resurrect the 10 Tails and cast the entire world into a dreamlike illusion. A genjutsu so powerful it would cover reality itself. He called it the Infinite Tsukuyomi, a world with no pain, no war, no choice. The illusion of peace at the cost of freedom. The only way to stop it? Unite all 5 great nations and go to war. The 4th Great Ninja War had begun. Back in Konoha, Naruto trained harder than ever, not just to fight, but to understand the 9 Tails, to make Kurama not just a prisoner inside him, but an ally. The Toad spoke of a prophecy that he would either bring great destruction or salvation. And deep down, Naruto knew it was coming. He would have to face Sasuke again. He would have to face the entire world's hatred. And if he failed, there might not be a world left to save. The world was no longer a collection of rival villages. Now, it was one unified force, the allied shinobi forces standing together against a common enemy, Akatsuki. 5 great nations, thousands of ninja, and one goal: stop the resurrection of the 10 Tails, and with it, the end of freedom itself. Naruto, however, was kept in the dark. Literally. Tsunade and the Kage hid him away on an isolated island, claiming it was for training. But the truth was simple: he was the key, the final Jinchuriki. If Naruto fell into Akatsuki's hands, the war would be over before it began. Naturally, Naruto wasn't buying it. He knew something was wrong. People were acting weird. Even the ramen tasted slightly off. He demanded answers, and when he finally got them, he didn't hesitate for a second. If the world was going to war, then so was he. But before joining the front lines, Naruto had to face something far more terrifying than any Akatsuki member. Kurama. The 9 Tails had always been a monster inside him. A source of power, yes, but also chaos, rage, destruction. Now, Naruto had to do the impossible, make peace with it. Inside his own mind, he faced the beast head on, not with hatred, but with understanding. He didn't see Kurama as a demon anymore. He saw him as a prisoner, a creature used and manipulated, just like himself. And for the first time, Kurama looked back with something other than fury. A spark of trust. Naruto didn't just tame the 9 Tails, he earned its respect. From that moment on, they weren't enemies. They were partners. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, things were getting out of control. Akatsuki had done the unthinkable. Using forbidden reanimation jutsu, they brought the dead back to life. Old heroes, legendary shinobi, people whose names were spoken with reverence and fear. Zabuza, Haku, Asuma, the 7 ninja swordsmen, the Kage of the past. And worst of all, Madara Uchiha. Yes, the real Madara, not Toby, not an illusion. The man who once fought Hashirama Senju, the god of shinobi, now walked the battlefield once again. And he was unstoppable. His arrival turned the tide of war instantly. Clones of himself fought entire armies. He summoned meteors from the sky like they were pebbles. Shinobi trembled just hearing his name. And behind it all, Toby revealed the final piece of his plan. He had obtained the Rinnegan. He was preparing to awaken the 10 Tails, using Naruto and Killer Bee, the last 2 Jinchuriki, as its vessels. The final battle wasn't coming. It was already here. Back on the front lines, Naruto arrived like a blazing storm. Clones of him spread across every division, boosting morale, holding the lines, saving lives. For the first time, the entire shinobi world looked to him not with doubt, but with hope. He wasn't just a boy with the demon fox anymore. He was their leader, their light, their chance. But the war was far from over, because in the middle of the chaos, a mask cracked. And the truth behind Tobi's identity shook Naruto's world to its core. The battlefield burned. Naruto stood shoulder to shoulder with shinobi from every nation, the very same people who once ignored him, doubted him, feared him. Now, they moved when he moved. They fought because he fought. He had become something bigger than himself. But even with all that strength behind him, they were still chasing a shadow. Tobi, the man in the mask, the puppet master, the one who had started it all. No one knew who he truly was. Some thought he was Madara. Others believed he was a ghost from the old world. But Naruto knew he felt there was something more. And then, during the heat of battle, the mask cracked. A single strike, a heartbeat, and then nothing but silence. Because behind the mask was Obito Uchiha. It didn't make sense. Obito had died during the Third Great Ninja War. He was a name written on a memorial stone, a story Kakashi carried on his shoulders like a curse. But now he was here, alive, angry, and absolutely convinced that the world was beyond saving. To Naruto, it felt like betrayal, not just because Obito had been their teacher's comrade, or because he had hurt so many people, but because Obito used to be just like him. A dreamer, a misfit, a boy who once wanted to be Hokage. Now he wanted to cast the entire world into an illusion. Obito wasn't fighting for power. He was fighting to erase reality itself. No more pain, no more war, no more choices. Just a perfect dream where no one would ever suffer again. Naruto's fists clenched. His voice rose. Real peace doesn't come from pretending pain doesn't exist. It comes from fighting through it. Obito laughed. It was cold, empty. I've already felt pain, he said. I died in it. And when I came back, I realized the world doesn't need truth. It needs silence. The Ten Tails was resurrected. A monster of legend, pure chaos incarnate. Its roars shook mountains. Its chakra bent the world itself. And yet, Naruto, now side by side with Kurama, fully synchronized, stood tall. He wasn't alone. The allied forces rallied. Kakashi returned to face his greatest regret. Even the tailed beast began to show Naruto a different side, one not of fear, but trust. And then came the unthinkable. Madara Uchiha returned fully. Not reanimated, not half alive, alive, in the flesh. He ripped the Rinnegan from the battlefield, crushed entire platoons with a wave of his hand, and began merging with the Ten Tails. The war escalated from catastrophic to mythological in seconds. And in the middle of it all, Naruto kept fighting. Not because he thought he'd win, not because he had no fear, but because giving up was never an option. Not for the orphan who once painted the Hokage faces. Not for the boy who promised to save his friend. Not for the future Hokage. Obito watched him. Every punch Naruto threw, every word he shouted, and something in him started to crack. He remembered Rin, Kakashi, the dream he used to believe in, the person he used to be. Naruto didn't just fight Obito, he saved him. By being the boy Obito had once hoped to become. The mask was gone. The truth was out. But the war was far from over. Because while the world caught its breath, Madara stood above it all and smiled. And unlocking both Rinnegan, Madara became a god in all but name. He summoned black orbs that erased anything they touched. His power bent reality, time, space. Every Shinobi Alliance member combined couldn't lay a scratch on him. Naruto and Sasuke gave it everything. But it wasn't enough. Madara's victory seemed certain. And then, time froze. Naruto found himself standing in a white, endless void, not alone. Before him stood a man wrapped in light and legend, the origin of all ninja, the father of chakra itself. Hagoromo Sutsuki, the sage of six paths. The stuff of bedtime stories, except this wasn't a story. It was a torch being passed. Hagoromo revealed the truth, that Naruto and Sasuke weren't just powerful shinobi. They were reincarnations of his two sons, Ashura and Indra, the original heirs to chakra, and the origin of the cycle of hatred and war. Naruto, like Ashura, carried love, hope, and the power to unite. Sasuke, like Indra, bore the burden of power and the curse of solitude. They had clashed in every era, reborn again and again. Now, in this final cycle, Hagoromo offered them a choice. Not just power understanding, not just destiny freedom. Naruto accepted, not for himself, but for everyone who couldn't fight anymore. And in doing so, he gained the 6-path sage mode, a power beyond any he had ever imagined. Back on the battlefield, Naruto returned with new eyes, new energy, new strength. He could fly, he could heal, he could sense every presence, every intention. Kurama stood at his side, fully synchronized, no longer a cage of chakra, but a brother. And he wasn't alone. Sasuke, too, had received Hagoromo's power. His Sharingan evolved into the Rinnegan, granting him control over space, gravity, and life itself. Together, they didn't just fight Madara. They overwhelmed him. For the first time, Madara faltered, not because of raw strength, but because the future had finally stood up to the past. But victory? Still not within reach. Because just as Madara was about to finish his ultimate plan to cast the infinite Tsukuyomi and trap the world in eternal illusion, he appeared. Black Zetsu, the parasite, the hidden hand, the shadow behind the shadow. He stabbed Madara through the chest, not out of betrayal, but because Madara was never the true endgame. All along, Black Zetsu had been working to revive Kaguya Tsuki, the mother of all chakra, and the sage's own mother. And with Madara's body as a vessel, she returned. The final boss had entered the stage. Kaguya was unlike anything they had ever faced. She didn't speak of peace or power. She didn't care about villages, nations, dreams. She was pure instinct, control, the will to reclaim all chakra. She warped dimensions, reshaped reality, fought like a storm of divine energy. And Naruto and Sasuke, even at their peak, were barely surviving. It was only through trust, teamwork, and just the right amount of shouting mid-fight that they managed to push her back. And when the final blow struck, sealing her once again into oblivion, they stood, bruised but victorious. For the first time, the world exhaled. The war was over, but Naruto knew what was coming next. This wasn't the end, because standing across from him, in the quiet aftermath of history's greatest battle, was Sasuke, and his Sharingan was still spinning. The war had ended. The world was saved. Kaguya was sealed. The tailed beasts were free, the villages were united, peace, real peace, was finally within reach. But for Sasuke Uchiha, that wasn't enough. He looked across the broken battlefield, eyes sharp, voice cold. We're not finished. Naruto turned. He already knew. This wasn't about Kaguya or the war or even the past. This was the final piece of everything. The last thread connecting them and the one that had to be cut. Sasuke declared his intent without hesitation. He would kill the remaining Kage. He would take control of the tailed beast. He would become the sole force in the world capable of uniting it through fear, not trust. A revolution built on sacrifice. Naruto didn't try to argue. He didn't beg. He didn't run. He just said, "Then I'll have to stop you, even if it kills me." And so they returned to the Valley of the End, where it all began. Where they once fought as boys and would now fight as men. The battle wasn't just epic. It was everything. Chakra shook the heavens. Mountains crumbled. The sky itself seemed to split. Naruto fought with the strength of the Sage, the Nine Tails, and the entire world behind him. Sasuke unleashed the full power of the Rinnegan, the eternal Mangekyo, and a hatred honed sharper than any blade. They matched each other blow for blow, Rasengan versus Chidori, fists against flames, pain against pain. But it wasn't the techniques that made this fight so powerful. It was what they were really saying with every punch, every scream, every moment of silence between. Sasuke wanted to erase the past, to start from zero. Naruto wanted to carry it to build something better. Sasuke thought love led to loss. Naruto knew love was what gave life meaning. They didn't need words. They never did. Hours passed, their bodies broke down, blood soaked into the earth. And then, they clashed one final time. No chakra, no jutsu, just two boys, two fists, and a flash of light. When the dust settled, they lay side by side, motionless. Their arms gone, their strength spent, and yet, they were smiling. For the first time in years, Sasuke spoke without venom. He confessed it all, his jealousy, his guilt, his pain. He admitted what he never could before. I lost, not just the fight, I lost to you a long time ago. Naruto, half conscious, barely able to move, whispered, "Good, 'cause I never planned on dying." That moment changed everything. The cycle was broken. Naruto didn't defeat Sasuke to destroy him. He reached him, he saved him, and in doing so, he saved everything. Later, Sasuke stood before the world not as a conqueror, but as a criminal seeking redemption. He accepted punishment. He walked the road of penance, far from the village he once called home. Naruto? He returned to Konoha not just as a hero, but as the future. The war was over. The world was healing. Villages were rebuilding. For the first time in generations, shinobi from every nation walked side by side, not as enemies, but as comrades. And at the heart of it all was Naruto Uzumaki. Not as a Jinchuriki, not as a troublemaker, but as the boy who brought peace, the boy who changed everything. Konoha began to thrive again. Houses rose from rubble. The Hokage monument gained a few more cracks and maybe a new prank or two. Children laughed in the streets. People no longer whispered behind Naruto's back, they waved, smiled, bowed in respect. Even the Ichiraku ramen shop expanded, probably because Naruto paid the rent for 5 years in a single meal. But despite the peace, Naruto still trained. He still worked, still pushed himself every day because being a hero wasn't the end of his story. It was only the beginning. Then came the day. Standing in front of the Hokage office wearing the robe he dreamed about since he was a kid, Naruto Uzumaki finally became the 7th Hokage. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, it was just right. The boy no one believed in, the kid who failed every test, the prankster with ramen-stained dreams, now stood as the leader of the Hidden Leaf Village. He didn't take the job for power or praise. He took it because he remembered what it felt like to be ignored. And he swore no one in his village would ever feel that way again. His life wasn't perfect. He still overslept sometimes, he got buried under paperwork, his kids drove him crazy, especially Boruto, who somehow inherited his father's chaos and his mother's eyes. And Sasuke? He returned not to stay, but to watch from afar, to protect the village from the shadows, just like Itachi once did. Naruto and Sasuke didn't always speak, but when they did, it wasn't as rivals. It was as brothers. The world still had danger. New threats would come. New wars might rise. But as long as Naruto was standing, the world had hope. Because Naruto didn't win because of power, he won because he never gave up. Not on his village, not on his friends, not on himself. He carried pain, he carried dreams, he carried the will of everyone who came before. And somehow, through all the loss, through every tear and every battle, he never let go of that smile. That's the story of Naruto Uzumaki. A story of a boy who was born with nothing and gave everything. I'm a small creator just starting out, so if you've made it this far and enjoyed the video, consider hitting that subscribe button. A like and a comment would mean the world, especially if you've got ideas on how I can make the next one even better. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next story.